Hello, hello, hello. We are here today because you guys asked for it. Nobody actually asked for it, but I live to deliver anyway. Welcome to the very first episode of Let's Get Publishing. How the frijoles does the book industry actually work? My name is Sara, pronouns she, they, and I hope you are all as excited to be here as I am. Whoa, okay, tough crowd, but trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming. If you give me a chance and keep listening, this podcast will become a first step for you, my dear listener, into understanding how books get published and sold to the public.
Woohoo!
Oh, I know. It's really, really interesting. So please stay with me. Now, the book publishing industry is a complex system of different areas working together towards the common goal of getting a book from the author's idea to the reader's hands. And as many of us know, books are not just words, ink, and paper. Books are instruments that can change lives. Book and story vessels have been indispensable in shaping the world we have today. But even as important as these objects are, one of the things I often hear as a publishing minor is that the industry is anything but predictable. And I can guarantee you that even people working in the industry, having worked in the industry for years, they are often surprised by the difference between their predictions of success and the actual number of sales, which, unfortunately, is quite often used as a measure for success. So, over the next undetermined number of episodes, I will attempt to shine a light on this hugely important, yet for some reason, mysterious industry.
Woo!
But real talk, there is so much I still don't know. Part of the reason I am doing this is to be able to learn more. But before we get to the juicy parts, let me introduce myself properly. My name is Sara Aristizabal Castañeda. English speakers, I dare you to say that fast. I was born and raised in the plentiful, beautiful, vibrant land we know today as Colombia. With an O, not a U. Thank you very much. I came to Canada in 2021 to study world literature and publishing at Simon Fraser University, which I am still in the process of completing. It's taken me a while, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully, 2027 graduation. We'll see. Anyway, along the way, I somehow picked up Indigenous Studies, which I find has enriched my path, life, knowledge, experience, everything in ways that you will absolutely get to know. Not so subtle hint for future episodes. Needless to say, I love books with a passion that made me travel about 6,500 kilometers from home in search of an in to the publishing industry. Note the desperation in my voice. I really want to help publish other people's books. Please hire me. Sorry, anyway, if you are remotely like me, meaning you are in any way interested in how books get made and sold, you have probably gone to trusty Google in search of how the publishing industry works. And like me, you have probably found a plethora of articles directing authors to self-publishing aids and other tools that will help them get their manuscripts into the hands of publishers. Unfortunately, the information on how the publishing world actually functions is less readily available, and there are many barriers in the way that make it hard to access information and resources because we all know capitalism is here to take our souls. But I didn't say that because books still need to be sold, and that's still capitalism, so...
Mic drop.
Moving on, there is so much to talk about, and so much information that's not easy to access. I thought it was so hard that I found paying thousands of dollars to get a degree in publishing easier than finding the information I needed online. Okay, though granted, I did actually want to study, so maybe I was not looking hard enough. Whatever the case, like the awesome Anne Helen Peterson, host of Culture Study Podcast, once said, unless you are directly involved in the industry, people know little about what goes inside it and how it works, end of quote. She was referencing the podcasting industry, but the point still stands. And I am betting, like really betting, not really because I am broke, but I'm actually betting that there are some people out there who want to know about this world without having to pay all that money. So here I am, and here we are, my fellow book enthusiasts, because I asked for this and somebody has yet to deliver. Thank you. What I want to get out of Let's Get Publishing, how the frijoles does the book industry actually work, is for the podcast to give insight into the behind the scenes of book production and distribution. I will be meeting with a variety of people working in or around the book publishing world. Sometimes they will be experts, other times they will be recent publishing graduates, indie booksellers, even librarians. And I'll sit down with a different guest each time for a short conversation that will allow us a glimpse into their role within the whole. And I do love a good rhyme or a good whole joke. Wink, wink. Yeah, I read way too much smut. I am very sorry. Moving on, before the next episode, which will be coming out in 2 weeks, by the way, I want to give you a short overview of the industry. Strictly speaking, we refer to the publisher as the mediator of the publishing process, and the publishing process as what happens after the manuscript is completed and delivered to the publisher. I would like to extend this definition for the purpose of the podcast to include what happens after the book leaves the publisher's hands and enters the public sphere as a finished product. In publishing terms, this podcast will deal with both upstream and downstream publishing. Upstream publishing is what happens before the book is released to the market, for example, acquisition, editing, or design. While downstream publishing is everything that happens after, basically anything to do with the post-production process, like distribution, marketing, or sales. For easy understanding of the structure inherent to the publishing process, I'll break it down to the different phases the manuscript goes through. The conversations I will be having with my guests will fall into one of these categories, depending on their individual expertise. These categories are as follows. 1. Types of publishers and publishing house structures. 2. Manuscript acquisition and contracts. 3. The editing process. 4. Design and production, the manufacturing process. 5. Publicity, marketing, and sales. The last category I am calling into the bookstores, libraries included, because we love and support our public libraries. Thank you. These steps in the process can be seen as chronological stages, where the end of one triggers the beginning of the next. But as we make our way through the stages, you will come to learn that the process does not always follow the set structure and that the different publishing departments or areas often influence each other. You will see that I have chosen to make my way through these stages not in chronological order, in part to make my planning less difficult, and in part to support the idea that we can come to understand the process without having to start by the beginning. I have also created 5 more discussion categories that, although not directly about the publishing process, I find indispensable when talking about book publishing in Canada today. These categories are Indigenous publishing in Canada, Canadian publishing policies, ebooks and audiobooks, other mediums of publishing, and last but not least, innovation in publishing, or what I like to call the future of publishing. Unfortunately, we are near the end of the very first episode.
Boo!
Oh, I know. I could hear myself talk for hours too. But before signing off, a quick reminder. We are entering this journey together. So, if you have any burning questions, drop them in the comments, please. No haters, because my heart is gentle. Thank you. And with that, I can say we are done with episode 1 of Let's Get Publishing, how the frijoles does the book industry actually work. A special thanks to Professor Emily Norman for sharing her knowledge on the Canadian book industry, Professor Hannah McGregor for her knowledge about podcast production, and Serge Quadrado for composing the theme music for this podcast. If you want to know more about all these sound effects, I will link them in the description. Good listening, I wish to you, my fellow bookaholics. I am Sara, your host. See you in 2 weeks for more Let's Get Publishing, how the frijoles does the book industry actually work. Adiós y hasta pronto.